What is up, YouTube? That's it here, and I'm back playing more Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl 6v6 singles Wi-Fi battles. Today we are in the OU tier, and we're taking a look at Gengar. Pokemon Showdown recently banned Manaphy. Thank goodness, Pokemon's literally busted. You can see me using Manaphy in the last little team review video I did featuring Infernape. Such a good mon, way too good for the format. It wasn't legal back in the day either, and it definitely, in my opinion, deserved to be banned. But now they're suspect testing Gengar. And a lot of people probably don't understand why Gengar is being suspect tested. I'll try to include a link to the Gengar suspect test in the description of this video. But yeah, Gengar is actually a really potentially broken mon in this format, because now that Gengar gets Nasty Plot, there's not really that many Pokemon that can switch in on it after it gets a Nasty Plot. You can KO anything neutral with Sludge Bomb or Shadow Ball. It can two-shot Blissey with Focus Blast, and there's not that much Blissey can really do back to Gengar. And the loss of pursuit in this game is what makes Gengar so broken in a lot of players' minds. And so basically Gengar kind of just becomes a situation where you switch in on a fighting attack, or you know, a normal attack, or some sort of attack that Gengar can nullify. You get up your free Nasty Plot, and then from there you win game, which is I would agree that does happen at the higher levels. We're not going to be using that exact Gengar set today. I guess I'll show you the team we're going to be using today. It features a really different Gengar set. It's going to be more of like a sub-Wisp set with Black Sludge Curse Body that's going to just play a little bit of a longer game. I know a lot of people are already saying that's you could use Hex to combine it with Will-O-Wisp. And the reason we're not doing that is because I actually want to run Gengar with Shadow Ball so I can catch Garchomps on switch-ins. And I actually think it's really good to at least test Gengar during these suspect tests, because now that Manaphy's gone, we're going to start seeing a lot more Slowbro and Slowking potentially. We also might see a lot more Latios just because people are going to, you know, drift off to other really big special attackers. So Gengar with Substitute, when they switch into Pokemon Wall to Gengar, we can sub, we can Will-O-Wisp, we can take out that wall, and then from there, when they want to bring out their Latios, their Slowbro, we already have the sub up, and we just two-shot them with Shadow Ball. So that's the idea for the team. We're going to talk about a few of the other Pokemon we're going to be including in here, and this whole team is definitely made to abuse the fact that, you know, Manaphy's gone, so we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to be using a Skarmory today, because I think Skarmory plays very well with Gengar, being that, like, it has that big ground immunity, right? So Skarmory's going to be super good. Standard Skarmory set, absolutely nothing special about it. Just want to be able to get my rocks up, whirling away Garchomps and things like that. Just play a little bit of a longer game. The Azelf set, though, is going to be very similar to our Gengar. Remember what we've talked about in previous videos here, where we really want to double up on our strengths. Let's take a look at our Gengar. We're using the Black Sludge for recovery. We have Substitute, dual attacks with really good offensive typing. Azelf's going to be built very similar. Leftovers, kind of like a Garchomp. Sub Nasty Plot, double attacks. This helps us pin things like Scizors, which would normally be a big problem, and other steel types, which could potentially give Gengar a little bit of an issue. I also want to talk a little bit about this Azelf set. This Azelf set looks really weird. Why am I not running any special attack? Why am I not running, you know, full attack or special attack or anything like that? This Azelf set's actually made to make it so the Substitute doesn't get broken by Breloom Mach Punch or Mamoswine Ice Shards. That's super nice. When I see those things, they just want to go for like a fadeaway Ice Shard or whatever. I soak the 20%, put up a sub, and then they can do that again, but after I kill them, which I can with both of these moves, Psychic and Flamethrower, both good versus those Pokemon, I get to keep my sub, and Azelf is aggressively speed tiered to outspeed Latios. Now, can I hit Latios very hard? The answer is no. The plan is to get like two Nasty Plots off and then just dumpster two-shot the Latios from there, but also like Latios is going to have a really hard time breaking my sub, and knowing that it can just get U-turn in the face. A lot of Latioses don't really like to pull the trigger and fight me. We also outspeed other Gengars, which are really good because it's being suspect tested right now. So Azelf's a great Pokemon to test. And yeah, I just love Azelf, and this is a really unique way to play it. We're using a standard Gliscor set. We're using the knockoff variant instead of the defog variant, just because leftovers and other sort of stally tactics can make games a little bit harder. We also need to be able to knock off choice items so we can allow for our Gengar and Azelf to, you know, be playing the game correctly at the correct speed tier. So knockoff's very nice here. We're using my Blissey with the 3 special attacks, and I think it's really important in this team. Thunder can provide some speed control. Flamethrower helps check Scizors, which are a problem for this team. And Ice Beam helps check Garchomp and other Latioses. So anytime we see like a Latios, we can switch to Blissey. Anytime we also see like an Alakazam, which is great versus Gengar, can outspeed Azelf, and also good against Starmie, we can go to Blissey as well. So, and if they happen to run like the Nasty Plot Psyshock, we'll deal with that when it comes, which definitely does happen. But Blissey's a great mon. Last but not least, we have a Starmie set, and we're rocking a lot more aggressive Starmie. I know we used the Starmie in a video a couple days ago that was like full wall bulk with like Thunder Wave and Recover. This one's straight aggressive. We want to be able to pin those Garchomps, right? This is our only spinner in the team. We have to kind of just deal with the fact that our opponent's going to get hazards up on us. Good thing is we don't have any hazards weakness. We have Black Sludge Recovery, Leftovers, Toxic Heal, with like, you know, the Toxic Orb Recovery and Leftovers. So we don't really care if they get rocks up on us. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, I got rocks. And so if I'm ever in a position to Rapid Spin and it's completely free, I'll go for the Rapid Spin, but it's actually not required. This helps us break other water types, Garchomps, and Infernapes. So really, really good coverage here. This also helps us break, you know, random like ground types and stuff like that that would normally give Gengar's Sludge Bomb a problem. So really, really cool core. Note that I'm doubling up on my sub lefties users. I'm also doubling up on my natural cure mons. Yeah, I just like this team a lot. I think it's a really, really cool team. We also have triple ground immunity because Gengar is what we're trying to feature. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into some replays that I have, and we're just going to show you how I play the team. What we're going to do here is we're going to talk about all of my thoughts on why I do everything that I do. You can see my team's on the other side. Let's switch the sides right up here. This is my first game with the team. This is my very first game with the team, and I want to talk about why I make the plays that I make, because I've seen so many people really, really like these videos. They can get inside my head and understand the, you know, like next level conditioning that I'm bringing to the table here. So against this guy's team, we see Scizor, Garchomp, Alakazam, Infernape, Gengar, and Ambipom. Now in this game, I do think that I lead Azelf. I'm really, really screaming leading Azelf here, because Azelf is an absolutely amazing lead. This team's actually lead Azelf a lot, because Azelf, for those of you guys that don't know, can do almost anything. It can set rocks, it can be physical or special, it can use explosion, it can set dual screens. Azelf can do anything, and when you lead Azelf, you put a ton of pressure on your opponent, because they have no clue what you're going to do, and it can literally be anything. So if I lead Azelf, and remember my moveset is Psychic, Flamethrower, Nasty Plot, Sub, what can my opponent do about it? Well, if they lead Scizor, I can just Flamethrower them, because they're definitely going to want to click that U-turn. They're going to expect my rocks, and they're going to think that they can U-turn out to something, maybe even the Zam or whatever, right? So I can Flamethrower Scizor, which is the reason you'd want to lead Azelf. If they lead Garchomp, remember we're very, very bulky. Even an Outrage will not KO this Azelf in one hit, and we do two-shot them with Psychic. So I can just go double Psychic, which is great. And I would actually click the double Psychic as opposed to a Nasty Plot Psychic in that situation, because we don't know if they're Scarf Chomp. And it's the only reason we don't die is because we get to hit them twice and they get to hit us once if they go into Outrage. So it's much better to stick that damage, and then if they do get locked into Outrage, we can switch to Skarmory. It's not that big of a deal. And if they want to set rocks with Garchomp again, we just two-shot them, no big deal. If they lead with Alakazam, we can switch right to Blissey. We talked about that. That's the plan. If they lead Infernape, we outspeed Infernape. Infernape's a 108 base speed, we're 115, and we just two-shot with Psychic, assuming that they're Sash. So that's great. If they lead Gengar, hard switch right to Blissey. I think that's fine. We can also just Psychic them and clock Sash, because we do outspeed them, which is one of the reasons why we're using Azelf. And if they lead Ambipom, which is what they should lead, because Ambipom wants to apply as many fake outs and U-turns as possible, and Ambipom also speed ties Azelf, we want to, you know, bait them into going for fake outs, U-turns, all those things. If they lead Ambipom, which is a normal Pokemon that uses normal attacks and bug attacks like U-turn, we can just hard switch right into Gengar. And then what does Gengar do to all of these? Well, Gengar trades super well with Scizor. We can go for Will-O-Wisp, we can go for Subs, we can just go for Shadow Balls. Against Garchomp, we can go for Will-O-Wisp to not die to Earthquake. We can, we can just go for Shadow Balls, and it can't really switch in on Shadow Ball, and unless it's Scarfed, it's not going to be able to do that much. Alakazam, I'm assuming it's a Sash Magic Guard set. We can just go for a Shadow Ball, try and get our sub up to where when they finally do bring out the Alakazam, we can punish it. Infernape can't do that much to Gengar. We can't burn it, but it gets absolutely dumpstered by like Shadow Ball and Sludge Bomb and stuff like that. Other Gengars, I'd like to have my sub up already, and we can just Shadow Ball them out. So it's really, really beneficial that we lead Azelf to condition our opponent into making whatever play we want them to make, and then from there we get free switches into our Gengar, which is absolutely amazing. So starting this game off, you can see right here, we lead Azelf, they lead Ambipom. This is great. So if they want to go for a fake out, we know that we have our big Ghost type. We could even have gone to Gliscor too to activate our Toxic Orb, but I already talked about I want to apply that pressure and get my free sub. So I'm just going to hard switch, go right into the Gengar, and yeah, eat the fake out. And so I also want to talk about this. Me hard switching my Azelf there, like if I just soaked that fake out and showed my lefties, they'd know that I'm not sashed, right? I want to give the illusion that my Azelf is sashed as long as possible, and you'll see that come into play a little bit later in this game. Remember, make your opponent respect every single option your team and your mon brings to the table. Don't tell them what your playstyle is right from the get-go. Make them respect everything you could potentially do. So bluff a little bit better. So U-turn, Curse Body doesn't matter. They're U-turning into Alakazam. On that switch, we go for a sub. And the reason why Alakazam's a really good bring-in here is because there's no way I was going to be using Shadow Ball on an Ambipom. So really, really good play from them. And if I want to go for the standard Nasty Plot Gengar, which is really, really good right now, this would be a net loss for me. Good thing we're using a subset, right? A little bit safer. Get my Black Sludge going. We just trade a little bit. Psychic. And we see Psychic as opposed to Psyshock, which is really, really big, which means I'm completely safe to bring in my Blissey. I think most Alakazam should be running Psyshock right now. So I know that it's safe to bring in Blissey here, so the Psychic doesn't do that much at all. Guys, remember, Psyshock deals defense damage. It's a special attack that targets your opponent's defensive stat. Remember, Blissey has a much lower defense than its special defense, so Psyshock's usually a little bit better on Zam. But anyways, we know that we're fine to switch in here. In this situation, remember, we're running the full special attack Blissey, so I could go for Flamethrower, expecting to catch Scizor. I could go for Ice Beam, trying to catch Garchomp. I could go for Thunder, trying to catch the Infernape, but it could also miss on the Zam. I think I go for the Ice Beam here, just because I want to be able to break Infernape Sash, and if I steal the KO on Garchomp, I can use a lot of my other mons like Gliscor a lot easier. So I think I go for the Ice Beam. But we see the Infernape, so Thunder would have probably been best, but I have no problem breaking this Sash here. Potential Sash. And so against Infernape, we're weak against like fire attacks. And so in this situation, they can go for fighting or fire attacks. If I wanted to switch in Gengar and take a big fire attack, I might die. I don't want to have that happen. I don't want to switch in Starmie here and get U-turned either. So I think the perfect play in this situation is to switch to Gliscor. And that does a couple things. It blocks the fighting attacks. It blocks the U-turn. I could soak a fire attack super well. And I don't care if you want to Flare Blitz me. And then from there, it activates my Toxic Orb. Because remember, the first turn you switch in your Gliscor, the first turn it's active, it has to take a turn to activate that Toxic Orb. So you don't actually get the Poison Heal on the first turn. So if I ever want to switch in on that Garchomp, it'd be really, really beneficial to already have that Toxic Orb active. So I actually need this. So I switch right into the Gliscor here. And they go for a U-turn, which we talked about that. Like, we talked about why we didn't switch to Starmie, why we didn't switch to anything else in that situation, because of, U-turn just not that great in this situation. And also, Gliscor has the tools to deal with any of these Pokemon. You bring in your Alakazam, I don't care. You bring in your Garchomp, I don't care. I knock off that. I Earthquake that. I don't really care. You can bring back in your Ambipom, I go right back out to my Gengar, right? So you bring in your Ambipom, right? I get my free Toxic Orb activation, and I switch right back to my Gengar. Right? They go for a fake out. Again, that's what Ambipom does. It just goes for the big fake out or a big normal attack. Gengar doesn't care. And I'm like, cool. This is turn 7. And now what I've done is I've recreated the exact same pin that I had before. But your Alakazam's at 1. Your Infernape Sash is down. And, yeah, all it costs. And I got my Toxic Orb activated. We're in such a good position. We have the exact same pin. They decide, though, this turn to go for a taunt, which is great. They should have actually done this last time, because that could have, like, stopped my Nasty Plot and stopped everything. So, cool to see taunt. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's the correct play to go for taunt here. And this is where they're going to make a really, really cool play. What would you do in this Ambipom situation? We know that you're going to U-turn, right? But are you going to go into, like, Garchomp? Are you going to go into Gengar? Are you going to go into Alakazam? Or are you going to go into Scizor? Now, they already know that I have Shadow Ball. And they already know I shouldn't be Shadow Balling an Ambipom. So that means I have to Sludge Bomb. And because I have to Sludge Bomb, they're obviously going to be U-turning into their Scizor, which is a great play from them. And you know what? I'm letting them get away with this. I'm like, you know what? I really don't care if they go into the Scizor because we have so many mons that can check it. So really, really good play from them. Love seeing that good play from our opponents here. We soaked the Bullet Punch here, and I want to talk about why I stayed in here. I knew the Bullet Punch couldn't KO me, right? And also, this is my last turn of Taunt. So the plan was, if I Curse-Bodied their Scizor here, I would be able to... that's another reason why Gengar is so good. A lot of people say, like, Gengar lost Levitate, it's terrible. Curse Body is a great ability, and it can really stop these mons that are relying on a specific type of move. So anyways, yeah, if you Curse Body that Bullet Punch, I'd be able to just stay in, go for a free Will-O-Wisp, and then I'd be able to get a sub up, because X's when U-turn don't do that much to Gengar at all. It's fourthed. So I stayed in and went for a Shadow Ball, so I was able to do damage, scout for potential Life Orb such lefties, and if I Curse Bodied you, which is a 30%, I'd be able to just, like, win the game this turn. And it doesn't really cost me anything other than HP percentage of my Gengar, who has recovery options with Black Sludge, so it doesn't really matter. And I don't get the Curse Body, but we do see that the Scizor has leftovers. So because we see this, my Taunt's over doesn't really matter. I know they're going to be Bullet Punching again. I go right into my Skarmory. I decide to set up rocks here, just because, like, I'm not afraid of a Scizor at all. I can always whirlwind it away if it wants to set up Swords Dance. They decided to come in on Infernape on the turn that I rocks, and we already know what happens here. Every time we see the Infernape, we go into the Gliscor. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You can go for the same exact thing. And this time they go into the Gengar. I actually want to talk about this. We see the Infernape, and they know. This is 13 turns in. This is the second time they've been in this pin where I go into my Gliscor and I block your U-turn, and you can go into anything you want. But, what would you go into? If you go into Ambipom, I do the exact same thing where I go into my Gengar and I recreate the same pin. If you go into your Infernape, you're already on Infernape. If you go into Alakazam, I'm not afraid of Alakazam. I have enough special bulk on this Gliscor to not die to anything, so I could just U-turn you back and then restart the game over with my Azelf, and then from there you're down them on, and I have the exact same pins with rocks up, so that's great. If you go into Garchomp here, Gliscor beats Garchomp. I have the sustain, you don't. And if you go into Scizor, I will just knock off you, take your leftovers, Earthquake, 2-shot, or if you want to be a Roost set, I'll U-turn out, come in with Azelf, and just go for a Flamethrower, win the game. So, in this situation, they have to come in with Gengar, that's the only one of their mons that can do literally anything different. So, in this situation, I think they expected me to Hard Switch or U-turn to Blissey, because that's what most people would do. And remember, I just explained why their backs are to the wall. They have to do literally something and start stealing KOs to do well. And I don't care if they Destiny Bomb me. I really just don't care if they Destiny Bomb me. So I just decide to, we'll watch. They go for a Focus Blast, expecting the Blissey switch in, which I don't give them. And I just Earthquake them, and they're probably like, ugh, I could have just Destiny Bonded. I'm like, that's fine. I don't care, because, let's just go to the end. I don't care if you would have Destiny Bonded me there. First of all, they just scooped right there. If you would have Destiny Bonded me there, I would have then sent out my Azelf, and I could then recreate the exact same scenario of you bring out your Ambipom. Destiny Bond. So I would have sent out Azelf, you would have sent out Ambipom, I would have switched to Gengar. You could U-turn away that turn if you wanted and not go for your Fake Out. That's totally fine. And then you could repin my Gengar with the Alakazam, but then I go to Blissey, and you could Hard Switch to Infernape. And again, I have Rocks up. So yeah, your Zam's not taking damage, but all your Mons are taking damage. And yeah, my Gliscor's down, but I haven't even used my Starmie yet. I haven't even really used the remainder of my team. So I'm still the one at a massive advantage because I have these hazards up, and I'm never really giving you enough time to get rid of them with the potential defog Scizor. So yeah, they scoop it up right there, but we had everything completely under control. We definitely take those. So the next game here, guys in the 1200s. So you can see, great team over there. I love the Heatran. Heatran's a huge problem for this team. We have to come in hot with Gliscor and get some EQs. We're going to have to get some EQs. Heatran's a problem, Breloom's a problem, Gliscor can be problematic, and then they have aggressive speech on the rest of their mons. I want to see who I lead with before we talk about it, and I'll explain why. I think I just lead with Azelf again. No, actually, I do lead with Azelf again. I lead with Azelf again, and I want to catch the Scizor. If I lead Azelf, I talk about this. Outspeed Infernape. I can potentially threaten a Starmie. They don't know if I have Thunderbolt. They don't know if I have U-turn, so I can potentially threaten all those. I threaten Gliscor easily. I can sub/Psychic a Breloom. I can Flamethrower a Scizor, and against a Heatran, I don't like fighting Heatran, but they don't know that. And also against Heatran, Heatrans are really reliant on, a lot of Heatran sets from Magma Storm, and I can use sub to, PP stall Magma Storm, because even if you hit me, which are not always going to happen, it doesn't apply the Magma Storm trap if you have a sub up, so really, really good play there. And you can't, Earth Power an Azelf, so that's really good tech. So anyways, I think I lead Azelf here. Yeah, there's the Azelf. And they lead the Scizor, and I'm like, yes! Yo, wins up. I hit the lottery here getting the Scizor lead. And so, I'm going to take the bait. I think I'm going to get in a position to where even if I proc the Heatran, it won't lose me the game. I have enough stuff to deal with the Heatran, even if it gets super fed from a Flash Fire proc. So, I go for it. And I go for it incorrectly. I got a little bit greedy, and that's fine. I decide to just talk about what I wanted to do. I decided to just pop my subs and see if they're Magma Storm. If you're Flamethrower, if you're Flash Cannon, I'll switch accordingly. But I'm thinking you're either setting rocks or going for Magma Storm. And so I'm just going to go for it. So they go for the Magma Storm. They hit. And I'm like, well, that sucks. I could have just stayed in there and used sub 4 more times. But you know what? I'm like, I feel like I already have to risk for the biscuit. I might as well save my Azelf's health and just come in. If you're going to miss a Magma Storm, you can miss it on this Gliscor, or you can hit the Gliscor, or I bring in the Gliscor, you hit me with the Magma Storm, and Gliscors usually, even though mine doesn't outspeed, they're usually made to outspeed Heatran, so I can be a bully here, and then force you to switch to the Heatran, and then I can deal with your Heatran as long as you don't have a Flash Fire proc. So Gliscor's just coming in to scare away a Heatran right now. They do hit the Magma Storm, but it does a ton. That's with the Flash Fire proc. I get my Toxic Orb active, but it does scare them away. And we do be taking those. I went for the Earthquake, man. I was like, you know what? Respect to this Heatran. They come with their Gliscor, and I want to talk about this. Their U-turn is faster than me. So they U-turn here, and I roost. And that's really, really important. And I'm going to use that to my advantage all game. Anytime I ever see that Gliscor, I know that I end up with a free pin out of it. Because if I ever see that Gliscor, I can bring in my Gliscor, and if they U-turn and I U-turn, I get to see what they bring out after their U-turn. So that's one of the reasons why we use this slow-ass Gliscor with speed reduced 0 IV speed. So whatever they go to, I get to then U-turn right into that slot, break sash, deal damage, and then counter it immediately, which always leads to a perfect pin. So it's really, really important. We also were able to just soak that U-turn and just get a free roost. Like, we stay winning right now. We go for a knockoff to take off an item. We see a Choice Band. So we see Choice Band on the Scizor, right? We see U-turn on the Gliscor. So we're seeing like a ton of switching around here. And they also go for a double swap. They expected me, they sent out Starmie, and they expected me to switch to probably my Blissey. So they got a great pin there. And I'm stuck in a position here again. I was like, all right, last time I fought the Scizor, I had him on that could use Flamethrower. And I used Flamethrower, and they switched to the Heatran, and that was bad. But, you know, I will say that I've since then restored a ton of health in my Gliscor, and I'm thinking about Flamethrowing again. Now, let's talk about the advantage of every move here, right? I could Flamethrower and pick up a KO on Scizor, that'd be great. I could Ice Beam expecting the Gliscor to switch in. He'd be switching in to block a Thunder Wave. That'd be a really good play. I could go for, it would also be great versus like Breloom, and it would break Sash on Infernape. I could go for a Thunder here. Now, Thunder could backfire in case they wanted to set up a Swords Dance on me. It would force me to then switch to Skarmory, and that might be a whole mixed bag there. I mean, I'd still be in an advantageous position, but my free turn, that's a +1 free turn, which is where my name comes from, I'd be basically blowing it by missing a Thunder here. And I also kind of want to save Thunder in case I need it. So my options are Flamethrower, picking up a KO, or Ice Beam, expecting Gliscor. And I think I go with the Flamethrower here. So let's see it. And remember, they're just going to be faster than me. I expected the Swords Dance. No lie, I did. I expected the Swords Dance. They go for the big U-turn, and when I see this U-turn, I really thought Heatran was coming in. I was like, oh, thank God. But it's Infernape. We break Sash, and this is what happened the last game I fought Infernape. This is completely fine. I have absolutely no problem taking a turn to force the Scizor out, bringing in the Infernape, breaking its potential Sash. I know sometimes Infernapes are Sash, sometimes they're not. But knowing that I don't have to respect that option anymore is great, because we can just go right to our Gliscor. We can just go right to it. And the reason we're going to Gliscor again is because close combat would get blocked. A fire attack's not going to do over half, especially because I have the restoration from the Toxic Heal. And if you want to go for that U-turn to, like, that's why we're not going to the Starbies. Like, you've already shown an affinity with U-turn Gliscor, U-turn Scizor. I know you're U-turning, right? There's the rocks. Same thing, you know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Great play from them. I thought this was, I felt like in front of every game, and they always U-turn. Anyways, they stealth rocks. And that's completely fine, because we're always in a great position. We can Earthquake here. Earthquake hits all of these Mons, except for their Gliscor. And we already talked about what happens when they bring in their Gliscor. It's a win up for us. So they switch out to their Breloom. I go for the knockoff here. Man, I'm like messing up my memory of these games. There's nothing wrong with going for a knockoff there, though. There's absolutely nothing wrong, because I thought that they were going to switch in something different, but it's fine. I knock off, what is that? A Life Orb, which is completely fine. And I get my heal up. And you can't Spore me. You can Swords Dance me, which sucks. But at this point, I just do the Earthquake. I'm sorry, I completely messed up, like, remembering that replay. But you can still tell that, like, there's not that much I really have to be afraid of. They only get a 2-hit there. And I come up with my Starmie. And from there, they just go for a Mach Punch. And I actually take this time to Rapid Spin instead of just getting the KO. I wanted my rocks gone because I knew I had enough Mons to, like, switch to deal with it. So we switched to the Gengar because we conditioned them into Mach Punching. And this is a great situation to be in. Yo, we're back with the Gengar. All that running around just for Gengar. I will say, though, that, like, going back to these turns, right here, I guess there's nothing wrong with the knockoff, but, like, I should have just EQ'd. Because, like, I would have EQ'd here, and he would have been lower and still had his Life Orb. And then when he Swords Dance, if I EQ'd again, he'd just be dead. So, hindsight over 9,000, and it's okay. We're going here. So we switch in our Gengar, block that Mach Punch, which we conditioned them to do, and then from there, they can't really do anything else. They have to switch, and on their switch, instead of subbing, we're going for this, because we want special D-drops, which we get on the first one, which is really, really important. We're going to go for sub here, because we already talked about it. You only have a set amount of Magma Storms, which you already showed, and again, I have no clue if you have Earth Power, but you can miss 6 of those, Chief. And everyone that you miss, we take those. So, of course, they hit their first one. And you know what? I have Black Sludge, you have Leftovers. I don't really care. I want you to miss that move. So we're going to sub it up. They show me the Earth Power. Because they show me the Earth Power, I realize, like, all right, this is not looking good for our hero. So I go for a fadeaway Shadow Ball, hoping that they go for a Magma Storm, which they did, but they hit this one. They've hit all their Magma Storms. They've hit half their Magma Storms. Never lucky, but it does lead to a situation where I can bring on my Starmie. I go for a Thunderbolt there on their Protect, and Protect is super nice on Heatran because it gives you Leftovers value. I went for the Thunderbolt expecting their Starmie to come in, and I'm using a Life Orb Starmie, so I really wanted to be able to bully there. But at this point, I'm like, all right, I kind of just need the Heatran down. I go for a Scald here. They decided to call my bluff there, and I wasn't letting them have it. So I'm about to just trade my Starmie for that. And I also just trade my Starmie here. And the reason why I just stayed in this situation, I didn't want to switch to something and have it get spored. I was like, you know what? I'm completely fine here. I'm just going to stay in, force you to KO me, and then I'm going to come out with something that wins, right? So I come up with my Azelf. We already talked about this. Remember what happened? Remember what we talked about? The Mach Punch. That's a crit Mach Punch. Does 27%. I sub in its face. And now, we're in a situation where you Mach Punch, it doesn't break the sub. We already talked about that. We go for a free Psychic. We have the Flamethrower. The Heatran's down. We're in a great spot here. There's the Gliscor. Don't really care about Gliscor. Free Nasty Pot. We take those all the way to the bank. You go for a U-turn. You can come with your Scizor, but we already talked about this. We have heavy HP defense reason. Even if I couldn't sub in front of that, you still can't do over half. So we take those Flamethrower out that thing. We're in an absolutely amazing spot now. Come with the Starmie. I can't really hit Starmie, but I don't need to fodder because I can repin the Gliscor and the Inferno with that. I know to go right into my Blitz here. We see Life Orb just like the same Starmie I'm running here. And go into the Gliscor. I pop the Thunder there. I save my Thunder. They switch in the Gliscor. We already talked about what happens when you see the Gliscor, though. It's always a win for us. Like, we don't even have to switch in. We just go for an Ice Beam there, trying to catch it. It really doesn't matter. But now we go into the Gliscor. There we go. Bam. Close combat. Not going to do enough. Not nearly going to be enough. I think this is where we bait the Gliscor to come back in. I think we roost here. Do we roost or we EQ? Yeah, we roosted up. And now, right here, this is the good turn. So they go for the U-turn, right? And so they realize, fuck, I'm faster. They have to come in with Starmie. They have to take my U-turn, and now I can go into any of my Mons and win, right? I can go into my Azelf and Speed Tie. I can go into my Skarmory and Drill Peck KO. I can go into my Blissey and then just get a repin from there. But basically, every single time they're going to bring that Gliscor back out, it's going to be a position where their Gliscor does slowly lose because I'm always able to repin it. And because my Blissey always has a move that could kill the thing, I don't have to really respect it. So even if I get just the Gliscor alone, I can just soak the damage and bring in my Blissey safely and win. So cool game. I misremember the replay just a little bit. But you can tell I was always in complete control against a person that had pretty decent rating. So this team, I debated including this replay because their team's weird, right? That's a weird looking team. A lot of those Pokemon are like RU, UU, and lower. Basically, the only two OU picks, I think, are Breloom and Azumarill. And the reason we're going to include this replay is because I think it's really important that you respect every Pokemon, not just the ones that are in your tier. So you have to know how to deal with stuff that are off-meta picks. This is a really, really good game to explain that. I don't remember what I lead, though. So we'll see what I lead with, and then we'll go back. We'll talk about it. So we lead Gengar here. And I think, yeah, I lead Gengar here instead of the Azelf. And I think the reason I did that is because I wanted to Will-O-Wisp the Sudowoodo, which we do see here. But anyways, yeah, let's talk about the reasons why Gengar's great versus all of these Pokemon. Gengar versus Hitmontop. Cool, I can totally just sub Will-O-Wisp. I'm in a great spot. Versus Rotom Frost. I don't know if you're Scarfed. I don't know anything about you. I would think that I might want to cast Sub first to block like a Thunder Wave, but I have no idea what like a lead Rotom would probably be Scarfed, so like I'd probably have to soak a lot of damage, and I don't want to get hit by Blizzard. That would suck too. They're probably like a modest Scarf set if they're Scarfed at all. A Sudowoodo here, I can just go Will-O-Wisp, sub, do all my cool stuff. Sudowoodo shouldn't be able to really do that much to Gengar, especially if I burn it. Same thing goes for Licky Licky. Yeah, I can't go for Shadow Balls, but I can just go for Will-O-Wisps, and then I don't know that much about Licky Licky, but like I'd assume it's going to be physical. They're mostly known for using like Explosion and stuff like that. So I'd like to burn it, right? And against like a Azumarill, I can just go for Sludge Bombs / subs, / like Will-O-Wisp, and Breloom, I can go for all those as well. Will-O-Wisp, sub, Sludge Bomb, all that nice stuff. So yeah, Gengar's a great lead in this situation, and I just open it up with a Will-O-Wisp because I think it's the right play. So Will-O-Wisp's up, and again, I don't know what this guy's going to do. I think I do pop the sub here, though, just because I want to see. I want to see what you got, Chief. And they go for the knockoff, and I'm like, all right, cool. Knockoff's going to be annoying here. I like all of my items, and a bunch of my Pokemon, like Azelf and Starmie, have weaknesses to knockoff. So I have to pick between my Skarmory, my Gliscor, and my Blissey. And I think the Skarmory is what I choose here because Blissey really does need the sustain. I have to activate my Toxic Orb first before I can let it get knockoffed. So Skarmory has recovery options and doesn't need it as much. So I just decided going to the Skarmory here. Also going to the Skarmory lets me get up my rocks, which is great. So we go in, soak the knockoff, not the end of the world. And I'm like, cool, I'll just get my rocks up. And then they flamethrower us. And so this is a perfect example of why you need to respect everything. What a cool set. It's basically built kind of like a mix of like a Tangrowth and my Blissey to where it has like a ton of special coverage. And I didn't respect the special coverage. Like, he probably expected me to Will-O-Wisp and went into his special attacker mixed Licky Licky. Very, very cool play from our opponent here. And it's definitely keeping me honest. So my burn, which I thought was a good thing, it's not. Look at this coverage. That's crazy. They expected me to go into Gliscor there. I was not. So we just come with Azelf here, and I go for a Psychic, I think. I know that Psychic doesn't KO, and I know that they're going to knock off me. But I realize, like, you're not going to get the KO with a burn knockoff. So I know that I'd be able to get my 2-shot there. And I wasn't planning on nasty plotting and just winning the game. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go for... I sub here just because I do need the additional tick of burn. You can see I only did 24%. So I needed one more tick of burn. So I probably should have subbed first. I thought I would do a little bit more damage. I thought I would sub first. I should have subbed first and let me get an extra leftovers tick. I'd have about 5% more health. Who knows if that would really matter. But we see the Rotom here. Fast Rotom send out. And so I'm thinking, like, there's no way they're going for an electric attack. I could totally switch in Gliscor. And then I'm like, wait, this is Rotom Frost. They could totally Blizzard me. And so, because I have no clue what they're doing, I'm like, wait, I'm freaking Azelf. I'm a speed demon. I should outspeed you unless you're Scarfed. And, like, I got rocks up. Like, I could just kill you, right? So, they go for the Raw Blizzard. They miss. I Psychic because I thought they were going to... So they are Scarfed, right? They are Scarfed. They did go for the Blizzard. And I'm like, Flamethrower wouldn't have killed anyways, I don't think. Because, like, Psychic's a 90... super effective, 90 stab, goes up like 135. Flamethrower's a 90 doubles to 180, so Flamethrower might have killed, but I really thought they were gonna like Volt Switch me and take advantage of everything. Because even if like they Volt Switch and I switched in the Gliscor, they could just hard switch in the Azumarill or the Breloom and I'd be, well, they switch in the Azumarill and Gliscor is pinned. They get a free Belgium out of that and I don't want that. So I didn't want to let that happen, that's why I just stayed in Psychic, because if they would have Volt Switched and brought in Azumarill and I Psychic, I'd be able to put it within range of not Belladrumming. So that's why I Psychic instead of Flamethrowing, but I'm like, crap, they're Scarfed. And I thought about switching to either of these two, and I'm like, you know what? If I switch into my Starmie, I don't want to get like frozen, and I know I have Natural Cure, but it forces me to switch, and I don't want to deal with that. And if I go to Blissey, again, that lets you potentially, I can KO the Rotom, but then you can bring the Breloom and get in subs. You can bring in the Azumarill and go for like Belladrums, and I don't want to deal with that. I actually think that I'm just gonna let you KO this Azelf if you hit, and KO what you do, and then I can just repin with this. If you don't. That happened, yeah. I was like, I thought that my Gengar could actually eat it. So you hit double Blizzard, and again, that has to be like a modest, Scarf set, which is really, really good. But they got like 2 massive KOs, and again, this is a perfect example of like putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and dealing with mons in situations that aren't normal standard stuff. It leads to little, I'm not gonna say these are misplays, but these are me taking a less optimal way to learn the matchup while still respecting the standard threats they have back there. So yeah, I lost 2 mons, but have I lost the game yet? No. If anything, I disabled that Blizzard, which means this is a free turn. I can do whatever I want, and because it's free, because I know you're not going to struggle, what would you use in this situation, right? I could have, if I had Psychic, I could have Psychicked. It would have been good versus all these. Scald would be good versus the Rotom, good versus the Sudowoodo, okay versus Hitmontop, but bad versus Breloom unless I get my burn, and bad versus Zuma unless I get my burn. So, what I do is, I realize my moveset is Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Scald. I click the Thunderbolt here, because Thunderbolt's good versus all of them. That Rotom can't stay in. If it does, it struggles. It would actually kill itself to like Thunderbolt and struggle. And if I Thunderbolt and they switch in Sudowoodo, I just switch to Scald next turn. If I Thunderbolt and they switch in Hitmontop, I switch to Scald next turn. If I Thunderbolt and they switch to Breloom, I use Ice Beam next turn to win Wep. And if they switch to Azumarill, which is the one thing I wanted to catch with the freaking Thunderbolt, well, they get put out of range of Belly Drumming, which is amazing. You see that? You see that range right there? It's pretty decent. And you know what? They go for the Fadeaway Aqua Jet because they know they got outplayed there, and they might as well just get some damage in. And I'm in a cool spot. Look at me, look at me. I don't need to fodder my Starmie here. I do not need to fodder the Starmie here, so I go right into the Gliscor, and now I can activate my Toxic Orb, which is absolutely amazing. And, yeah, great spot to be in. They go for the Route Spin, get rid of my rocks. I don't think that really matters. We actually don't want to switch off this Gliscor. What we want to do is actually just sit on this Gliscor forever and force him into switching in on something. You see, I'm just going for There we go. See, we punched with the U-turn there. You see, right away. I could have went for that hard U-turn, but I waited for them to rapid spin, switch away because they needed to regain pressure, punish them with the U-turn, regain my pins, go right back out of the score. Exactly the same thing. Now the Sudowoodo's gone. I don't have to respect that anymore. And I can just chill. You can as fast as you want. You'll never break this Gliscor with a Hitmontop. And from right in here, you just start walking yourself in a knockoff. Because if you were to hard switch to Rotom to block that, block my EQ, like, I don't care. And if I KO your Hitmontop here, you don't have anything to ever go to stop my Starmie, right? So I just keep knockoffing, and I know that I'm always gonna be slower. They eventually have to switch the Rotom in. It doesn't work, but let's say they just foddered the Hitmontop and then sent out the Rotom. I would just switch to Blissey, because if they fodder their Hitmontop, they'd eventually have to go to Breloom to fight my Blissey, which means I get a free. Even if I fodder the Blissey, I get a free bring into my Starmie, and then Starmie can finish off everything from there. So really, really good way to play this. Very, very patient on my part. And even though I lost a couple mons mid-game, I got myself into situations to where I respected my opponent's options, and I still played to my outs while doing everything I could to not lose to some really big sweeper, like, late-game picks. So I didn't let their momentum, fluster me. And I always played to my outs, which is great. So let's, we already looked at this one, right? That's a Heatran one. We already looked at that one. We already looked at this one. God, great team, though. I really like the tech with the Licky. Great mom. Here we go. We got this one. So this guy has Electivire, Gyarados, Shuckle, Starmie, Scizor, Weavile. Weavile can be a big problem for this team. Like, it outspeeds Starmie. It outspeeds Azelf. It outspeeds Gengar. It outspeeds my Gliscor. Weavile's an issue, but not something we can't deal with. So what do we want to do here? I'm trying to remember exactly what I led with. I think I lead Gengar here, and let's talk about the reason why we would lead Gengar in all these situations. If they lead with Weavile, we have to hard switch to probably Scarm or Blissey. Doesn't really matter which one. Hopefully they don't Swords Dance. If they lead Scizor, I can Will-O-Wisp it. If they lead Starmie, I have to switch to my Blissey. My plan was, though, that they're going to lead Shuckle. And again, I think I lead Gengar, and I think I lead Gengar over the Azelf because I expected the Shuckle lead, and I didn't want to get infested and have that break my sub, and then, like, next turn I have to, basically, they'd be able to break my Azelf subs every single time with Infestation because it's super effective, and I didn't know if it would break. Probably wouldn't, but I think it's a special attack, so my defensive estimate doesn't really matter. Anyways, I wanted to set sub versus hazard, so that's why I led Gengar. If they would Gyarados, I can just Will-O-Wisp it, and that would make it so an Earthquake wouldn't KO. And if they led Evire, I can Will-O-Wisp it, and would make it so I can then abuse that Electivire all game. I can even pin it with, like, Gliscor and Blissey at that point. So I think I would Gengar here. There's the Gengar. There's the Evire. We talked about the situation. Go for my Will-O-Wisp. Willow hit D's. They go for the Earthquake. Doesn't get the KO at all. And they take Life Orb damage. Look at all that. Look at all that. And so since we know that they're going to do that, I switch my Azelf here. Condition that Earthquaking. Even if they wanted to go for like a Thunder Punch, wouldn't have done that much. So right here, we're going to great spot. We can Psychic against every one of these except for the Weavile and the Starmie, I guess. But they don't know that we don't have Thunderbolt on this thing. And so I think I go for my sub this turn, expecting them to switch. They go to the Shuckle. We pop the sub, and at this point, Shuckle could still maybe get stuff done, but I'm just going to nasty plot and see what I can get going. Because I know you want to set your hazards, and what I'm trying to do is, like, maybe I'll find a situation mid-game to where, like, I'll let you set all the hazards you could possibly want, and then I'll come in with my Starmie, get one big rapid spin, and then try to, like, reverse sweep later. They come in with the Scizor to block the Psychic, right? And they're thinking they're completely fine, and, we Flamethrower. They tried to go for a U-turn there. I wasn't letting them have it. We take those. Flamethrower, that's that coverage. We see the Gyarados here, and my Azelf doesn't get the KO with a Psychic because they're probably built a little bit bulky. They go for a Dragon Dance, but again, if you don't break my sub, I don't realistically have to care. You finally do break the sub, which means we take those. And, yeah, this is great. You finally do come in with your Weavile. I don't need to fodder this guy. Actually, I do need to fodder this guy. Why did I do that? Let's talk about why I did that. I think I did that because I realized since I already took out your Gyarados and I already took out your Scizor, I was in a dominant position to where at this point, remember I talked about in the team preview about like not keeping them honest, but like hoping they don't Swords Dance. I decided to just keep that guy there, go for a Flamethrower, and if they would have Swords Dance, they would have lost the game for it. But if they KO me, what I get to do is I get to repin here with any of these Pokemon, which is great. Like, I'll definitely take that here. We also would have been able to scout for, like, Life Orb or anything weird. So I think that's fine, fighting your Azelf there, because I don't need to do any more with Azelf. It already chunked the Shuckle and got 2 KOs, and I can't realistically do anything versus, like, Starmie, and I don't need to finish off Evire with it. So Azelf definitely did everything it needed to do, and I think keeping it in there, foddering it, keeping them honest by Flamethrowing was a good play. So I come with my Scarm. Again, this is not the best spot. Look at that. That does a lot of damage. And I go for rocks here. And you may be thinking that that's a little bit of a weird play. But I need to break this thing's sash if it is sash. I can't tell if it's sashed or banded yet. It looks like it could be jolly banned, but I don't know just yet. So I just wanted to get my rocks up because I know I don't have to whirlwind yet. And then they go for a second throat chop. We go for a whirlwind here. Hopefully it's not Starmie. It's Shuckle, which is the best position. But even if it was Shuckle or Evar, we would have been fine. They have to hard switch to Starmie. On that hard switch, we get a Roost, which is great. And then from here, we already talked about what we do when we see Starmie. We force the Starmie to come in, by the way, by setting those rocks, which is buying us more time and making them bring out more bad Pokemon. And from here, we're always caught in this position, right? Starmie, we see the Life Orb Starmie, which is hard to deal with as well. But what do we do here, right? We have a free turn. That's +1 free turn to do whatever we want, right? We can go for a Thunder, try and get the KO, but they could switch in Evar. That'd be bad. We can go for a Thunder. They could switch in Shuckle. I'd be able to double KO Shuckle with like Thunder, Ice Beam, or Flamethrower. They switch in the Weavile on the Thunder. If I hit it, being able to apply Speed Control will get us a win. So let's see what I actually choose here. Let's see. I don't think I Thunder. I think I like Flamethrower. I think I Flamethrower. Yeah, I Flamethrower just because I thought they'd switch right to the Weavile or the Electivire. Anyways, that's completely fine. I go for the Flamethrower because I'm not afraid of them. You can do 26% to me and take Life Orb damage, and I'll restore that with like Soft Boiled and stuff like that and my leftovers. So I'm completely fine there. They miss a Hydro, and I think I Soft Boiled this turn. So I'm completely free here. I have full health. Now, I've realized in this situation, I'm just going to keep kicking Flamethrower because I can KO any of these things with Flamethrower if you decide to switch. And if you stay in, you're losing your Starmie. And if you lose your Starmie, you can't spin my rocks away, which means when I bring out my Skarmory, if you ever bring out any of these guys, I reapply rocks, which can still break a Weavile Sash. So I've found my win condition. They decide to still get greedy. They switch in the Weavile on the Flamethrower. Yo, that ain't it, Chief. Like, they realize they got to start getting greedy. And, yeah, Throat Chop. Even though Blissey is like a special wall and a special attacker, physical attackers don't just dumpster it. I don't know why people don't put defense in Blissey, but we're in a good spot. Look at this. This Burned Electivire. Life Orb Burned Electivire doesn't do anything, and there's nothing they can really do in that situation. What they had to do was fodder him on and then bring in Weavile, and Weavile, you know, it showed it was doing 57%, which is around Leftovers recovery. So I would have been able to, like, break the Weavile's Sash with my Flamethrower, try and get my burn, and then maybe send out, like, Skarmory to, like, finish it off with a Drill Peck. That was kind of my idea. Or maybe force you to miss an Icicle Crash or stuff like that. Like, we still had, like, a harder game to go, but they got greedy and they got impatient. That's the real big thing there. They got impatient, brought in their Weavile, and we just caught it on a Flamethrower, which is crazy that they still did that because we showed Flamethrower. Maybe they expected us to do something different there, but we definitely do be taking those. Maybe they thought I also had, like, a Seismitoss or something. I have no idea. Anyways, this is the last game. And we're going up against Victory Bell Torkoal, which we actually fought against in a video. Sorry, which we used the other day. This guy has pretty decent rating too. You know, I'm just leveling these accounts up from neutral, but we're starting to get kind of high. So yeah, I definitely respect the Chlorophyll Weather Ball Victory Bell. And we're going to do some cool stuff here. So what do we want to do in this situation? What is the best lead in any situation? Obviously, it looks like they'd like to go for like Torkoal or Donphan to set those rocks early. I don't actually remember what I lead with. I don't think there's a problem with leading Gengar, but I also don't think there's a problem leading Azelf. I think that both those are good, but I think it's better to keep the Gengar as a switch in to block a Rapid Spin. So do I go? Oh, I lead Skarmory in this game. Yeah, my plan was to lead Skarm and trade rocks. Like we both go for rocks, and then I switch in Gengar on the Rapid Spin, and then I sub to wait out their Sun turns. That was my plan, but you'll see what happened. So, I lead Skarm versus the Sun team, because, like, I don't need Skarm versus, like, 90% of these. I know you got the Weather Ball, I know you got a Ninetales, Hariyama, I don't really care. They go for the Lava Plume, they don't get the burn, we do be taking those, and, I got my rocks up. Look at this, look at my rocks. I think I tried a Whirlwind here, just in case you do something weird, but either way, me Whirlwinding is kind of wasting your Sun turns, and if you want to just kill me, that's fine. They go for the Rapid Spin, which is the right play in that situation. Then you just immediately go for the Rapid Spin. I could have switched in Gengar, but it's fine. I come with the Hariyama. I don't really have to care about Hariyama. I go for my second set of rocks, and cool. I have now gotten rocks up. There's nothing you can do about it, and I'm in a great spot. So in this situation here, we come with the Azelf, and this is going to be really important. We don't know what items on that Torkoal yet. We don't know if it's leftovers or Heat Rock. Judging by the fact that they have, like, a big Chlorophyll Mon, I really think that it's probably a Heat Rock, but I don't know yet. So I really want to wait out these turns on Sun. So instead of just going for a hard Psychic, which would be really good against all these, I think I sub the first turn to then make it so I'll kill the Hariyama on the last turn, because I didn't want to just KO Hariyama with Psychic. They bring out the Victory Bell and I lose, right? That would be bad. I want to have to force that Torkoal out, so then I can just dumpster it with Psychic, and then they're out of Sunsetters other than the Ninetales. So that was my plan here. But we show that we're lefties. They go for a Bullet Punch there. Did 26%. That's still not that much. It might have been a high roll. I might have been able to sub. You never know. But anyways, yeah. And we do see it is a Heat Rock Torkoal. We see it's Heat Rock. We see there's still 3 turns left on Sun. You see I switch out my Azelf for a Gengar because I'm expecting you to Rapid Spin. And we do see the Rapid Spin. Gengar do be blocking those. We take those all the way to the bank. And now I'm expecting an Earthquake, right? I can go for my sub and help wait out these Sun turns. Or I could just try to switch to block the Earthquake. And I don't want to show that I'm not sashed it, because I think that's actually really important for later periods of this game. So I switch to the Azelf. They go for the rocks here. I can't believe they didn't Earthquake. It's literally a Gengar. But they got their free rocks. We do be losing those. We go for a Nasty Plot because I'm not afraid of you. You do get your Rapid Spin off, but like now I got a Nasty Plot, bro. So like, where are you looking? Huh? Where are you looking? Out-Tails? I know that I can actually wait with this. Look at this. Sub after it. It's so greedy. So greedy. We do be taking those though. And we're actually going to out-trade with this Ninetales, and we're just going to use Sub to elongate the amount of Sun turns that we're wasting on their side. And taking out this Ninetales is absolutely amazing. We know that they're not Scarfed. We don't know anything else about them. They're probably Sashed. But at this point, we just take them out, and they have just a few turns left of Sun, and we're just in a great spot here. We see the Tangrowth here, and look at this. You see the Tangrowth goes before my Azelf, and I'm like, yo, this Tangrowth's about to be eating the biggest flamethrower, guys. But it's Chlorophyll Tangrowth. I was like, ah! I didn't expect it. I really just didn't expect it. Regenerator is such a good ability. Even on this team, I know it gets Chlorophyll. I didn't expect it. I stayed in. I was like, yo, I got you. Flamethrower. And they just knock off me. And right here, I thought about it for a long time. Like, I didn't even think about the Chlorophyll. Even though I knew it could have it, I was like, are you Scarfed? And I did a calc, and I was like, there's no way it catches me if it's Scarfed. It has to be Chlorophyll. So I know that it can still change up its moves. And so I really have to play weird here. I decided to go into Blissey. I know I'm going to soak the knockoff, which is going to do a lot and take away my leftovers, but I'll be able to deal with this immediately and not have to worry about it for later on in the game. So we finally see the Donphan come back out. I think this is fine. I don't think I need to fodder my Blissey. I'd rather just stick damage into this Donphan and force them to have Ice Shard, which they didn't show earlier. So we've seen all their moves now. Rapid Spin, Stealth Rock, EQ, Ice Shard. I think we're okay. We get a free bring into the Starmie here. I could Rapid Spin, but I decided just to take it out. I could have Rapid Spin, but I've talked about this. They think that their rocks are going to be able to repin our like Sash Gengar, which they're not. And rocks don't do anything to Gliscor because it just can reheal at every turn. And Starmie already broke its full HP, so it doesn't really matter that they still have rocks up. I did not want to go for like a Rapid Spin situation where then they like Earthquake me, crit me, put me in the range of Ice Shard. I take leftover, I take my own Life Orb damage, and then they 1v1 my Starmie with their Donphan. I wasn't having that. So they come with the Torkoal here. And this is going to be a bit of a weird situation. They immediately hard switch into Victory Bell and I go for a Scald, right? I would have loved a burn there. But look at this. Watch this turn. We're pinned. That's a great play there. Sending out Torkoal, activating the Sun. Look what I do here. There's a reason why this was the last game that I played. Look at this. Switch to Gengar. I'm expecting a Solar Beam, right? Aren't we all expecting Solar Beam? What does Victory Bell use? It has Sleep Powder. It has a Solar Beam or Energy Ball or something like that. It has Sludge Bomb and it has Weather Ball. We know those are what Victory Bell uses because I made a video talking about Victory Bell a couple days ago. So, if you want to be able to break me, you gotta use a Grass Attack, homie. You know what resists Grass Attacks? Gengar. So Gengar switches on in. Solar Beam. What do we see? Curse Body! And we see Life Orb. And I was personally just hoping that it was like Spexed, but Life Orb's great. But yeah, we got the Curse Body. Gengar big busted. So now, if all you have is Weather Ball and Sludge Bomb, you can't break Gliscor. Oh. Feels Gliscor, man. So, what do we do in this situation here? We got the Curse Body. Great play. They go for the Weather Ball. We just let them have that. I ain't switching in. I ain't foddering. And I'm like, I've seen Weather Ball, Solar Beam. I don't even know if they can take the Starmie out. But I'll force them to KO with Sludge Bomb because they're taking Life Orb damage when they're doing it. And now, they're still disabled, right? I knew I would still disable. This is the last turn of disable. And I remember, I want to get... This is the perfect example. I think it's better to fodder the Starmie than send out the Gliscor here prematurely. Because I don't want to just eat a Weather Ball in the sun. Like, I would rather not do that. And also, I didn't know if I'd be able to KO that Victory Bell. Like, let's say I went for my Earthquake and they were still at like 64%. And I Earthquake them for about 50, and then they live at like 10%. They just go Weather Ball, switch Torkoal Fodder, bring out again, and or they can just go, they can just double tap me because even Victory Ball is just going to be able to outspeed. They can go Weather Ball and then like a not sun boosted Weather Ball, and I would die. So that's why we fought the Starmie, to put him within range to where Earthquake's good here and pin, right? So in the situation, they have to switch, right? They have to switch, which lets me get my Toxic Orb up, right? Which lets me go back up to full. And it also makes it so they're going to run out of Sun turns relatively soon. They only got 3 of these left. I can just knock off for days. You can lava flow me. You can't burn me, though. You can't burn me. I can just literally sit here and roost away, do all my stuff. They read that, though, and I'm like, okay, this is the most important turn of the game. Now, remember, if they had like 64% health, my Earthquake would not be able to take them out. I'm not strong enough. I don't have investment. But I can take them out from 54, even though it's neutral. So, in this situation, all we got to do is not die to Solar Beam, and we win. A Life Orb Solar Beam. Good thing we're rocking the full HP heavy Spadef Gliscor, isn't it? Isn't it good? So we roosted up. They go for their Solar Beam. Easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We soak those. They take another 10% damage from the Life Orb, and we win, right? Again, their Life Orb would have put them down to 54, and again, if even they had the 64 and we soaked all that damage, we wouldn't have been able to already have up the Toxic Orb. I want to go back and talk about this, because it's pretty important. So right here, they KO the Gengar, right? They KO Gengar. Remember how I lived at 14 from 100? They're at 64. If I would have sent out Gliscor right here, Gliscor would have been at full, but it would have taken the 12% from rocks damage. That means I would have potentially lived that at 2%. I don't know if they high rolled or low rolled, but I'd much rather live at 14% than get anywhere close to 2. Yes, it cost me my Starmie, but we're in a situation here where we just win because of this. We waste a couple of their Sun turns. They have to double switch. They have to make a really cool double switch back out there. We knock off the Heat Rock. Yeah, look at this. So this is where the turn where I go for my Roost. Like, good rooster, by the way. Oh, never let yourself go anywhere under half at all. But yeah, we soak this super well. I would have brought it in right on that rocks damage. I didn't want to get anywhere near that. That's not good at all. So Earthquake takes that thing out, and at this point, they are going to be able to reset the summon. It only lasts for 5 turns. We already know Torkoal cannot burn us, so all we have to do is get out of crit range, which is about 60%. So yeah, we're just gonna roost it out. Like, there's absolutely no reason for me to like Earthquake and not get the KO and then get crit. That's not what we're about here. So we just chill. At this point, I would have clicked the Earthquake because we were above the threshold, but I had to use Roost twice. So pretty good games. I think this was a great team, and I think that we used everything in Gengar's kit. We used its normal typing, its ghost typing to avoid normal attacks. We let it switch in on fighting attacks. We switched in on rapid spins. We used the curse body to our advantage to repin our opponents to force them to switch to take advantage of those turns as well. Bunch of cool stuff happening in all these games. Hopefully you guys like this series. These vids are a lot of fun to make, and I get to make some really, really cool teams to feature some pretty unique Pokemon in some pretty unique ways. And it's a lot easier to do this than it is to like breed for 100 hours to get a random Pokemon to use one time in a video. So I will say that. So hopefully you guys learned something. If you guys like this series, think about it, let me know in the comments. Also, you guys can let me know in the comments a Pokemon you want me to use next time. And if a lot of people want to see some Pokemon that I think I can build around, I'll try my best to build around it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you guys next time.